Now I know what a postal package feels like.
Hey, Mike, you okay?
Yeah. You take the ugly one.
No, you take the ugly one. I'll take the ugly one.
Oh, which one's the ugly one?
Yo, what up, SuperHouse Podcast listeners? This is SuperHouse episode 114, and today Andrew and I are going to be interviewing martial arts stunt actor Nick Palma, who was in the Michelangelo suit in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, as well as various stunts on TMNT II. He also has done some really good work on a bunch of other cool projects. That'll be coming up next. My name is Stefan, and I am joined by Andrew.
What's up? So first of all, thanks for coming on. Nick, can I call you Nick?
Yeah, no, please do. I mean, that is my name. I don't have my show on at the moment, but yeah, I'm actually, well, we considered ourselves the Fight Turtles or the Action Fight Turtles / Fight Turtles. And I can explain it for you if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So basically, when the Turtle movies, the way we had it, they had two sets of turtles. One were the actors who had the $30,000 animatronic head on top,
Right.
and the 60-pound battery pack behind their shells. So basically, they had their own costume and they had the more expensive equipment, and so we were the action turtles. Everything that the actors could not do, we did. And then basically, that was the backflips, the martial arts, the fighting with the weaponry and so forth, and small pratfalls. And then why I say that I'm the action fight turtle as opposed to the stunt turtle is because there was an actual stunt man, heavy duty, who did all the heavy duty stunts, not for all the turtles. That means myself, Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and also Splinter, Shredder. Anybody that needed these heavy duty falls or thrown across the studios, with these ratchets and air rams. And his name was Tom DeWeer. And so
Okay.
I don't want to take that stage away from him. He was awesome. And so that's why I consider myself the action fight turtle.
As kind of a martial arts fan myself, I wanted to ask, was there kind of an emphasis on using Japanese martial arts in this, or was it just kind of a mixed thing?
It was a mixed thing because I personally studied Choi Lei Foot initially when I first started the martial arts, when I was 13. Choi Lei Foot, are you familiar with that style?
No, I'm not. Is that Chinese?
It is a Southern Chinese Kung Fu style that emphasized on strong horse stances and a lot of hand techniques, low swift kicks that really didn't go too high beyond the waist.
Right.
And so that's when Bruce Lee learned his martial art, you've heard of Wing Chun.
Yes.
Okay. Well, in Hong Kong, he usually fought the Choi Lei Foot schools. So it's kind of like the Wing Chun against the Choi Lei Foot, is how it went. And in Hong Kong. So Choi Lei Foot is pretty popular. It's kind of comes along the same lines of the Southern Fist from the Hung Gar Kung Fu. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
Yeah, I have a little bit. Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So it's kind of branched out from there. And anyway, if you've seen these old martial arts movies, it's displayed a lot in that when they're finding the hand techniques are long range, a lot of hand techniques. The kicks were a little, lower. They weren't really to the head as much, but you really felt the kicks. To the lower
Nice.
part of your body. Yeah.
So whenever you started the job on Ninja Turtles 2, was it basically what they tell you? Was there any, or you just kind of followed orders like this is the choreography, or was there anything like we want it to be like this, we want it to seem like a Chinese martial art here, or what? I mean, what exactly was the direction?
Okay. So I guess I didn't finish that question.
No, it's okay.
So basically, I was Choi Lei Foot, but a lot of the other guys like Stephen Ho, who's Donatello, action turtle or fight turtle, was American karate. Ho-Sung Pak, who is the Raphael, action turtle or fight turtle, was wushu, kung fu. And then Larry Lamb, who was Leonardo, action turtle, fight turtle, he was Taekwondo. So there was a mixture of different martial arts, and they didn't really say, they basically just took it as martial arts, so they didn't really put an emphasis on a style of martial art. It was just a matter of just this, the turtles displaying their martial arts skills, and they didn't really emphasize what style it came from. But the way we broke it down is, by the way, when I got that job within a week, I'll tell you how I got the job. I was actually at Black Belt Magazines with a prominent martial artist at the time that I was renting a room out of his house. And I don't know if you're familiar with Eric Lee of the 70s. You're probably too young, but Eric Lee was considered the little king of katas in the 1970s. Nice. And on the tournament circuit. Well, they were doing some articles for him at Black Belt. He mentioned to them that I had just moved from San Francisco to LA to get into the movies. They mentioned that they were looking for the one turtle left in this movie about turtles, and which to be honest, I didn't even know about the turtles, what it was about, and so forth. I was just coming in off the street. And so basically they told me the stunt coordinator's name, which was Pat Johnson, the fight choreographer. And he lived in the Valley, which is the San Fernando Valley. They gave me his address. I kind of got my photo and resume together. I went to his house and I knocked on his door. No, I didn't knock on his door. What I did is I put it in my photo and resume in his mailbox. The next day he calls me up, and the day after that I went for like a little audition at this martial arts school. At the end of that week, I was on a plane to London being fitted to be one of the turtles. So it happened that fast. I just happened to be at the right place, nice. Right time, right height, and and right skills, I guess.
And you were Michelangelo mainly?
I was Michelangelo on the second movie. I was contracted to work as Michelangelo.
So did you have like nunchuck skills coming into this?
Oh yeah. See, again, when I was a young kid, I was 13 years old in 1973, and that's when Bruce Lee hit the scene. So Enter the Dragon hit in, I think it was August of 1973. Bruce Lee had died a month before in July. So I'm 13. Me and a group of my friends, we go see Enter the Dragon. I mean, by that changed my life from that day on. The next week I was in a martial arts school. It could have been any style. I would have not known the difference at that time. It just so happened to be, Chinese Kung Fu, Choi Lei Foot. Again, I was raised in San Francisco, so I was in the Sunset District. In any case, so basically, everybody wanted to be Bruce Lee, and me included. So I tried to be him. I learned the nunchucks, and I kept on banging myself. But I persisted, and that's what I had to display when I went for the audition for being one of the turtles as well, which was my nunchuck skills as well.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
You were actually answering a lot of my questions that I already had planned here, but so you didn't know much about Ninja Turtles coming into this, really?
Yes, really. I didn't. I don't think I even saw that. I may have saw the first movie. I mean, I thought it was pretty good, but again, I didn't realize that they're going to make another two. I didn't connect the dots, maybe. But when they did mention that Turtle movie, it didn't click that it was the first one that I had seen.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I didn't know.
Like for people like Stefan and I were born in 84, right? You're 84, right, Stefan?
Yeah.
So this was like the first big thing for us.
Wow.
The Ninja Turtles boom, that was like our shit back in the day.
Yeah, you were right at that age, huh? 6.
Right. Yeah, we were 6, so it was like, just like martial arts related stuff. I think, honestly, looking back on it now, it seems like the early 90s were still kind of and very influenced by the 80s martial arts scene.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think if you look back at that time period, you had Ninja Turtles and like, even G.I. Joe to a certain extent were using, martial arts. And it just seemed like there was a lot of martial arts and all kinds of stuff. There was the Three Ninjas.
Yeah. Well, every comic book at the time, it had like the page where it was like, learn self-defense, and had the guy throwing those really stiff kicks and punches at the other guy.
Right.
Oh, man, that's badass. I want to do that.
Yeah, for sure. No, there was a lot going around, and I think the Turtles, and then the Power Rangers kind of came out of that as well. And
Yes.
you're right about the three ninjas in Hollywood or something. Where I remember that.
Yeah.
Also, Martial Law. I don't know if you remember that series. Martial Law was with Sammo Hung.
Yeah.
Which you guys remember? You guys are familiar with Enter the Dragon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you remember?
Sorry.
Okay, who isn't, right? But remember, Bruce Lee was fighting at the Shaolin Temple in the opening scene.
Yeah.
And you know that was Sammo Hung.
Yeah, the one he's in. They're in that like MMA style kind of garb too. They have the the small gloves and the short shorts and stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's why they consider Bruce Lee the father of MMA.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But yeah, he was fighting Sammo Hung at that time, which was a 17-year-old kid.
Oh,
wow.
Shit.
Yeah, but he's very acrobatic. You could see he did those back handsprings.
Yeah.
He took those falls really good. And I don't know if you know this, but in the dungeon scene of Enter the Dragon, he fought Jackie Chan.
Yeah. There's like
guys
pictures of him in the background on the set and stuff like that, and like.
Right. So when the guy behind him, he grabs Bruce Lee, and then he throws Jackie Chan in front of him and snaps his neck.
Yeah.
And again, he was a 17-year-old kid as well.
Legend, yeah.
But everybody has to get their start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, they did a lot together after that as well, didn't they?
Oh yeah, there were three of them, which I don't forgot the other guy's name.
Yun Bao, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. But those guys really had a monopoly on the Hong Kong fighting scenes.
So good.
Well, actually, I wanted to ask. So you get cast in Ninja Turtles 2 as the what would you call it? The stunt turtle, the fight turtle?
Well, yeah, the fight turtle.
Fight turtle. So what was it like going onto that set? Because you were going into probably one of the biggest movies that were going to come out that year or the next year. The first one was a hit as far as I remember. I was young, but I mean, looking at online and stuff, it must have been a hit because I got a sequel. So it was probably a very big thing going on. So, like, what was it like training and fighting on set, doing those scenes?
No, it was exciting. Okay, well, here's the thing. Okay, so we did get we had when I got the job, I had 3 months before we had to report to the movie, basically, before they were going to start shooting, start the movie. So basically, they sent me some hands of Michelangelo, the turtle, so that I can get used to familiarize myself with the nunchucking for those 3 months and so forth. They didn't send me the whole suit, which was too bad, because that would have really helped out a lot in doing that back handsprings and just the fighting and so forth. But basically, we had 3 months. But when we got there, and it was filmed not in LA, it was filmed over in North Carolina at the Caraco Studios in Wilmington, North Carolina.
Nice.
It was really a beautiful place. We ended up, me and a couple of other turtles were roommates. We had a house on Wrightsville Beach for those 3 months. But it took 3 months to do. The first 4 weeks, when we got there, they kind of toured us around, showed us the sets and so forth, showed us the costuming, which we had seen within those 3 months too, because a couple of times I was flown to London, England, where the Creature Shop had their headquarters. I was fitted there, and then it was just like 2 weekends, within that 3 months. But basically, we tried on our costumes, and we moved around in them and so forth. We started to choreograph everything for the first month, 4 weeks. We choreographed everything that we could, and the things that we couldn't do with the that we thought we could. But before we had tried the costumes on, then we had to re-choreograph it to make it fit, to make it flow and look presentable, basically. So you had 4 weeks of rehearsal. During that time, the actor and the puppeteer were kind of working together to kind of train themselves to be ready for the shoot as well. So it took 4 weeks to get ready. Then it took 8 weeks to film. And it was really exciting to do, because once we were on set for the actual thing, we had to work those long hours, but any chance we get, we just kind of tear off I don't know, Andrew, if you remember when I was at the Comic-Con, I tore off my head, and
Yeah.
I would be there, and that's what we did. We would tear off every limb we could, and just kind of relax and be ready. Well, we really couldn't relax all the time, but because if you got too cold, then when you had to do your scene, you were cold, and you could have gotten injured. So we try to keep at least a little warm, but always on the ready to be ready to do the scene.
Nice. And were the suits like super restrictive, or was it did you have to change a lot from your original choreography, or what?
Not a whole lot. There was one scene that in the it was the nightclub scene that I wish we would have done the choreography that I liked, that I had in mind, because Pat Johnson asked each of us, what's your special technique that you want to do. And so, he tried to work what we had to offer. But in the nightclub scene, I remember I wanted to do a scene where they're chasing me against a wall, and they got me backed up against the wall, two foot soldiers or two bad guys. And then what I do is I was going to throw a punch at one of them. He'd grab my hand and throw me into the other guy, and then they would kind of ram me into the wall, and then kind of take me away from the wall and ram me again. But as they were to ram me up the second time, I would run up that wall and punch a backflip behind them, kind of, and then kind of take them out that way. We didn't get to film that one. I wish I could have shown that one.
Yeah, that was great.
Maybe I'll have to hire some foot soldiers today and try that. It's always bothered me because I've always wanted to in the movie.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, that would have been a good one.
Yeah.
But,
What was your favorite move that got into the movie?
let's see. Well, my nunchucking really helped me a lot because like I said, I could whip those things back then, and so that kind of got me into it. But it was a different thing once I did have the complete costume on, because I couldn't do a lot of the stuff that I would like to have shown. It just, and I guess I was, to be honest, I was more apprehensive because it was my big break, so to speak. I wasn't very seasoned going into the Turtle movie. It was kind of like my first big break. I had done a couple of previous things, but they weren't nothing on that scale. And just that whole thing kind of was a little intimidating,
Yeah.
But so I didn't want a chance. You know what I mean? It costs money to kind of go over and over again so you get it right. So we try to keep it as simple yet, try to make it dynamic at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Have you kind of followed the Ninja Turtles over the years since then?
No, not at all. Not at all. And to be quite honest, I hadn't even seen the movie that I did for about 10 years.
Wow.
So basically when the next franchise came out, at first I didn't want to see that franchise when they first showed the commercials.
Yeah.
But the first commercial I saw, that didn't look like them at all. What the heck are they doing? So then about 4 weeks later, another commercial came out, and they kind of added more to it. And it still didn't, I didn't want to see it. But then, once the third commercial came out, I decided, maybe I'll go see it. And so I ended up seeing it, and I enjoyed it. I knew it was nothing like what we did, but the thing about this new one is that it got the ball rolling again for me again. In other words, people who saw the new one now are your age, and so they had kids, and they go, no, those aren't the Turtles. And so they told their kids, I'm going to show you the real Turtles. So they go back and see the old version. And I actually did the same thing, and I was surprised to kind of to see it. I was really surprised how well the old version kept up. In other words, it was what am I trying to say? It's a classic. So we made magic back there, Jim Henson in the Creature Shop, the animatronics. It was all very cool how they did it. They're two separate franchises. But I gotta thank this new franchise, because I wouldn't be talking to you, I don't think, if it didn't come out. But here's the thing too. So at that point, I started to I started to go to Comic-Cons, and I went to a Comic-Con, and then I was looking for a suit, and then I was turned on to this guy in Corona who made the turtle suits. His name is Daniel Bravo.
Cool.
And he told me about all these different subcultures from the turtles that had evolved that I was never aware of. And it was, I mean, they know more about stuff about the turtles than I do, but that's the scary part. And you guys probably do too.
Stefan is our resident Ninja Turtles expert here, so
Okay.
I try and keep a tab on it.
All right.
but you gotta think about this though. I mean, like what Bruce Lee was for you, and just a generation 10 years before us.
Right.
That's what Ninja Turtles were for us. You know, like
At that age range, sorry, Andrew. At that age range, it was like the most accessible way to kind of like get into martial arts without like strictly being in like a karate class or something. So it was like, yeah, like kind of what Andrew was saying, that they were kind of our Bruce Lee, and that led to Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Sammo Hung and all those guys. But you know, it's like all the other cartoons were kind of like they either pandered to the fact that you're a child and you probably don't know any better, or it just wasn't very creative to begin with. So the Turtles came out and you're like, oh my God, it's so weird, and it's got like ninja moves.
Right. No, I understand completely.
Yeah.
That's what when I talk to a lot of the people at the Comic-Cons now, they say the same thing, because you had an emotional tie to that because you're at an early age like that. No, but that just goes to show the power of media too, film.
Yeah, definitely.
exactly.
I mean, it's crazy, but that's very exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to do a new movie whenever they.
Oh, that would be sick.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, no, it would be cool. It might be one where live action meets computer generated. Who knows?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
We've talked about it before, of like, the possibility of there being like a grittier take on it, or like a more adult take that's closer to like the original comics than the cartoon or something. Like that would be really cool to see with like practical effects and all.
No, that would. In fact, the first one was kind of like that, right?
Exactly.
I think 89, 88 or something like that. Those guys were Hong Kong stunt guys. I don't know if you know that. Golden Harvest, was the guys who did the Turtles, and they were Hong Kong stunt guys who were the action turtles in the first Turtle movie, and then they went SAG, and plus they also got a boatload of letters from parents, because parents were upset at all the weaponry and stuff like that. That's why in the second movie you don't see any of that. They have their weapons, but they never really use them to defend themselves. They always use other things like the combat cold cuts or the yo-yo, stuff like that. So that's the reason they had to lighten up on the violence. But I guess they did a good job, because a lot of people do like the second one because of the slapstick and the comical aspects of it. So yeah.
Are you still practicing Choi Lee Foot? Is that the name of it?
Well, yeah. Here's the thing again. Like Bruce Lee was Mr. Versatile, so I not only practiced Choi Lee Foot for 7 years, from the age of 13 to 20. My teacher was this guy in the Sunset District called Jimmy Ming Wong. Mm-hmm. And today he's Grandmaster Doc Phi Wong. But in any case, I also, at that time frame, I boxed, I won some Golden Gloves, I wrestled, I did gymnastics, I fenced, I did I did anything and everything that I could to be Bruce Lee. So I was all over the board. I was, trying to be that Mr. Versatility. I was also stationed in Korea back in 82 to 83. And so at that point, I ended up taking Taekwondo. And because of my boxing and my Choi Lee Foot, my hands were already good. But it wasn't until I took Taekwondo that my feet also got to be very balanced, very good as well. So that really even made me more versatile, so to speak. I took that. I ended up, I took a lot of things, you guys. I'm sorry. I can list a lot of things. I mean, that can be good, that can be bad, but that was my journey. But now these days I'm trying to hone it all down and just trying to get that philosophy where Bruce Lee, ended up, his JKD, Jeet Kune Do.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of trying to hone it down to that point. These last years, I've been kind of involved with the Bruce Lee Foundation, and trying to go to their seminars and learn about what Bruce Lee, what was going through his mind when he was creating his own type of concepts or martial arts, or however you want to say about, what he developed. So for me, I'm kind of whittling back down, but
Nice.
yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I love Bruce Lee.
No. I mean, like I say, if I would have loved to have met him.
Yeah.
I have met I actually met his son, years
Oh,
ago.
wow.
Yeah, I met him when his son was 15, and I was 20 at the time. And I got to say, the guy still towered over me.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't know. No, I guess I'm always going to be a small guy, I guess. But his daughter's very nice. His wife is very nice. Very good people.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of weight on their shoulders, I think, though, and I really
To like
think they're
uphold the
taking
legacy.
What's that?
To like uphold the legacy or something.
Yeah, just right. I mean, because just his whole estate, his whole philosophies,
Yeah.
everything. They do have the foundation. Shannon, his daughter, is the president of it, and
Yeah.
she heads it. But I'm sure there's a lot that she has to upkeep, and just
Yeah.
it's been very difficult. So I think they mentioned that for years they never had, they didn't have anything. Like they never copyrighted any of his stuff because they couldn't. It was just out there, at that time.
Oh, wow.
Back in the early 70s. So they didn't really see anything for a long time, and so it was a struggle for them to they're trying to hone in on that and trying to, control it now because
Yeah.
I mean, it's his estate and they are his family and stuff. So that's probably a difficult thing to do because it's like wildfire right now. It's all over the place.
Yeah.
So in any case, I still, try to support them as best I can.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stefan, do you have any questions?
Yeah, a couple actually. Were there any, that being like your kind of breakout role, were there any lessons that you learned during that experience? I mean, I'm sure there was plenty, but anything that really stuck out to you that you've carried on in your career?
Yeah, well, just to be at the right place at the right
Nice.
yeah, but when you're on set, I mean, you're there for one specific purpose, of course,
Yeah.
and that's for the producers, for those people to have this movie made. So, just to let people tell people where you are at the time, and
Mhm.
just to make sure you're always at hand and ready to go.
Yeah.
So I try to carry that work ethic on my other movies as well.
For sure.
And, yeah, but the only trouble is nobody really saw my face on that movie.
Yeah.
So so it was hard to make a career.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which I wanted to do, but in any case, we did have a cameo. I don't know if you guys know that. So in the disco scenes, you could see Leonardo, the fight turtle guy, and that Larry Lamb's in that. I'm also in the disco scene as well, and I think Stephen Ho and Ho Sung Pak as well. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. I'll have to look out for you guys next time I watch it.
Yeah, for sure.
Which will probably be tonight because now I'm like really excited.
Well, I'm gonna go see it too. So no, I'm just
Awesome. So yeah, also on your IMDb, I saw that you were a stunt performer in Newsies. That's like one of my favorite movies from being a kid too. It's like one of the, like a musical that I really like.
Yes, it was a musical.
Yeah.
Although I didn't sing on it. No,
Yeah.
I was a stunt newsie. So basically, because of my height, I was a kid and stuff on that so basically when the police officers and stuff are throwing around the little newsies, I'm one of those guys that they pick up and throw and so forth.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, but that the guy who picked me up in that, who was the police officer, are you guys familiar with Andy Armstrong? Okay,
No.
well, I think he did now he's pretty big because I think he did the Spider-Man stuff. He's the
cool.
stunt coordinator. He's a heavy-duty stunt coordinator these days. But at that time, he was also a stunt coordinator at that time. But he was the guy that police officer threw me around. But he hired me. See, Mike Vendrell hired me for Newsies. Mike Vendrell was the stunt coordinator for Newsies, but also for Kung Fu the series. Remember that movie?
Oh yeah,
That
definitely.
series?
Yes.
Okay. Remember the one with Brandon Lee in
Yeah,
1986?
yeah.
So that's Mike Vendrell did the stunt coordinating on
Oh wow,
that
cool.
series. Yeah. So, and I met Mike Vendrell through a friend of mine. Razar in the movie is his name is
Yeah,
Mark Ginther, who's also a very top stunt guy these days as well. But Mark Ginther introduced me to Mike Vendrell. Mike Vendrell put me in Newsies. On Newsies, I met Andy Armstrong. Andy Armstrong stunt coordinated Stargate. Remember Stargate?
nice. Yeah, I was just gonna
Yes.
ask you about that.
Yeah. Well, so Andy Armstrong coordinated that. He hired me. They flew me out to Yuma, Arizona. I was the stunt double for the character Nabe in,
Cool.
in Stargate, which was very exciting time to
Yeah,
be.
love
'Cause-
Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate was really cool because they flew us to Yuma, Arizona. There's a big sand dune national
Cool.
park out there. They actually built that whole pyramid out in
Mhm.
the desert there.
Wow. God, I
Yeah,
bet that was fun.
now you talk about getting on. We got on these sand rails, and they took me out to the set, and we're coming up and over this one big sand hill. And as we go up on the top, and we come over, you can just see the pyramid right up here before you. And
Cool.
it was as if you're in, Egypt.
Really
it was,
there, huh?
yeah, it was really there. It wasn't green
So
screen.
you really got to like experience the Stargate in a way that even most audience members didn't really.
No, yeah, no,
It's almost
that
like
was,
it being real.
yeah, it was. That was a fantastic
cool.
movie. I mean, because we were on location. It was way out in the boondocks, and
yeah.
it was as if we were actually in that, because it was just all around. Yeah, that Stargate.
That's really cool. And also, I see you were in the Rundown. What was that experience like? That's a really
Yeah.
cool experience.
Yeah, don't ask me about the Rundown. No, I'm just joking.
I'm sure.
I'll tell you. But the Rundown, that was a good movie. That was, Dwayne Johnson. I think that was like one of his first movies.
Yeah.
That kind of started making him a superstar. But about we filmed that in the Arboretum right there in LA.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but about 2 weeks before that, they were in Hawaii filming on location.
Uh-huh.
And and so I didn't go to Hawaii. That's why I'm upset about it. I'm just but anyway, what they did in the Arboretum, so we had to find, the palm trees, something that looked like the jungle. And what they did is they got a huge steel frame over on top, held up by cranes, right?
Uh-huh.
And they attached all these wires to it, because that was all done by wire work,
Uh-huh.
which was the first time I've ever worked with wires like
Cool.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was exciting, although it was the first time, although I didn't realize what I needed. A very important thing that you're going to need is your cup when you do something like that.
Oh,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, yeah. When we rehearsed it in North Hollywood in a warehouse on these mats, and I didn't have my cup that day.
Oh
And
man.
at the end of that day, I swear I could not have filmed the movie if we had to film it the next day. I was in pain. So they're gone for about a month. Thank God, I guess they went to Hawaii. They filmed all that stuff, and then we went back to film it. But during that month, I healed up, and so when we actually filmed it in the Arboretum, I was ready. But yeah, that was that's, you talk about experience. That I always remember. Now I know for sure what to do. But yeah, we filmed it in the Arboretum, and like I said, Dwayne Johnson, he was a great guy just to just to film with. Yeah, his chest was the size of both of my thighs put together. I mean, he was just huge.
Yeah.
This guy was
Huge.
just
Yeah.
and it was a fun time though, very fun time. The whole cast was fun.
Cool. That's awesome. You got to meet Christopher Walken. Chat with him?
I met him. I met Christopher Walken. He was a really good actor. I like him.
Yeah, he's
And,
amazing.
yeah,
That too, man. Yeah, definitely. I love that movie.
yeah, that was very cool. Let's see who else. Oh yeah, and Ernie Reyes. I don't know if you know.
Oh
him.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ernie
Yeah,
Reyes
he's
Jr. was our boss, and he was obviously Kino in the second movie, Turtle movie. So and then I was gonna mention is on Stargate. I wanted to mention is that one time I was Kurt Russell was the one of the principals, that him and James Spader.
Yeah.
But Kurt Russell, I remember being in the makeup trailer, being made up. It was just me and the makeup artist. And I think one of the producers was in there, just talking with another producer. I think they were both in there at the far end of the trailer.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And now there's only one door out of that trailer, but Kurt Russell comes up and he blocks that door. He's very angry. He's almost, extremely angry because we have to work 7 days. And he yells at these producers. He goes, no darn way. I'm going to work 7 days.
You can swear on this podcast.
It's all right. Yeah, but he said, no way I'm going to work 7 days. I'm going to go home tonight as soon as we're done, and I'm going back to L.A. Obviously, he didn't want to be there for that 7 days. And I just remember me and the makeup guy, we were looking at each other like, there's no way we could go because we couldn't get out of there. He was kind of blocking the only way out. But I got some stories actually. No. Did you guys see Ted 2?
I did not actually. I saw the first one.
Okay. Well,
but I see that on your IMDb.
Yeah. Well, okay. In Ted 2, okay. So the guy who made the costumes, that I bought mine from, Daniel Bravo, I guess apparently the producers of Ted 2 saw those costumes at a Comic-Con, and they decided to call him up and put it in Ted 2, the movie Ted 2. Because at the end, I hope I don't give it. I don't think I'm going to give it away, but at the end, when the bad guy hides as Raphael, so there's kind of they show the Ninja Turtles. Anyway, I worked on Ted 2 as Michelangelo, which was my latest thing.
Nice.
The only bad thing is the guy who did the costuming didn't know how to negotiate, so I didn't get credited for it. So that's too bad. But that was me.
The turtles dancing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So you worked on Ninja Turtles 3 as well, correct?
Yeah, I did work on 3. Well, the thing is this, on the second one, I actually got injured. Actually, 3 of us got injured. Yeah, I did. Okay, we can get into this. Okay, so you remember the junkyard scene when Ralphie's tied up at the post there?
Yeah.
And then we sneak in. I think it's me, Donnie, and Leo. We're sneaking in, and we say this is a little bit too, easy, and then they trap us, right? Okay, so they get you in the cargo net, and so basically, they put the stunt guy, the action turtles, in this cargo net, and what's supposed to happen is that cargo net is attached to a cable with a hydraulic lift off outside the sound stage, and it's supposed to go up 20 feet like that, right? It's just gonna just go up so fast. Well, about 10 feet off the floor, the cable snaps and it drops us right onto the stage floor. And I swear it was as quiet as a church in there. I mean, you could hear a pin drop because everybody thought that we were definitely we were killed. Basically, we were dead, and we were seriously hurt though, because on the cargo net, so if they just had the cargo net, we would have bunched up on each other. So they ended up putting a steel frame so that we wouldn't bunch up, the three of us. But that frame actually landed on Stephen Hole's ankle. Okay. So yeah, it landed on it, broke it in 3 places, and that thing swelled up like a balloon so fast that if they didn't get him to the medevac out of there, he would have lost his leg basically.
Wow.
Yeah, Larry Lamb compressed his back. He was out of the shoot. We had we filmed about 3/4 of the movie. We had about 2 weeks left. But Larry Lamb and Stephen Hole were both out of the movies. We got replacements for those guys from that point on. And I actually severed my MCL on that fall. So the week before, remember I mentioned about the disco scene with the one with Vanilla Ice and so forth. Anyway, in that fight sequence, I slammed my knee against the disco floor, and I bruised. I guess I sprained it or something, but it really hurt. So it was my MCL, which is your medial collateral ligament, which what that does is stabilize you laterally, or knee laterally. So if you move side to side, you're able to stop on a dime, so forth. But on that fall, when that cable snapped, it severed that MCL. So now every time I moved laterally, it was like Gumby. My knee would not stabilize. It would just come out of its socket because there was nothing to support it there or stabilize it.
Yeah.
And that was the weirdest feeling. I couldn't even describe it. It just felt like Gumby. In the scene, I threw a front kick. The foot soldier was grabbed it, but with the other kick, I would jump up and kick his face.
Okay,
and at the same time, I was going to spin. But as I spin, and I hit the ground, my leg slammed on it, sideways. Now, in between the turtle suits, we have the knee pads and so forth. They're leather, but still some of your bones are exposed on the joints.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's what I hit and stuff.
Ouch.
And then, like I said, the next week I severed it on the cable snap. But that was a scary time. But we ended up not suing. I got workers' comp. I ended up finishing the movie, but about a month it never healed. So I went to go check it out. I got an MRI. I severed it, and so I had to get an operation. And that took about 2 years to come back from that and stuff. So
crazy.
Yeah, no, it was crazy, and it was actually better than my other knee for the longest time. But about maybe 4 years ago, it's starting to bother me again now.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess I'll go knocking on their door again. No, I'm just joking.
Was the overall, I don't know how to say this, like the overall vibe going in Ninja Turtles 3, was it any different from 2 or pretty much the same?
Yeah, sorry I never finished that.
That's all right. All right.
All right, so here's the thing about Turtles 3. Okay, so I was injured on the second movie, so I was not contracted to do the third movie as Michelangelo. What happened is that they were going to actually film it up in Canada because there was, it was cheaper up there at that time. It was very expensive in LA to film here. And so they were going to film up in Canada. So they had to have 75% of the cast had to be Canadian. So they ended up, I think they contracted another guy from Canada. His name is Shashir Inacola, and so forth. So he was the guy who did Michelangelo in the third movie. But Pat Johnson did call me and he said, well, if you still want to work on it, you're welcome to come up and work. You're just going to be one of the Japanese warriors that, one of the bad guys, basically, that the Turtles beat up. So that's what I did. They ended up filming it in Astoria, or in Oregon, and I drove up there, and I was a bad guy. So you're not going to see my face either because it was supposed to take place in ancient Japan,
right?
And so you'll see me from the back, is what I'm saying. Although in one of the scenes while I was there, I was on the second unit. Stephen Ho, the fight turtle for Donatello, was on the first unit. They were filming a scene with him. They needed somebody else in a turtle suit for Donatello in the second unit. So they asked me to suit up, and I did one scene, the scene that they slide down the sewer. I don't know, as Donatello. And
cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of a nice thing. But I didn't work on the full movie as the turtle.
Cool.
But still, it was a great time because it was just nice to be on set again. Although by that time, Jim Henson, the Creature Shops, did the first two movies. Yeah. And you guys are familiar with Jim Henson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Muppets and, all that stuff. So, Kermit the Frog. So, yeah, they did the first two movies. The third movie, from what I heard, was done by All Effects. So they got to do the third movie. So what I'm saying is that the costuming was different, and it wasn't as high tech or as good as the Jim Henson movies.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was still. I mean, looking back at it now, it was still okay.
As a kid, I didn't notice it at all. Really.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Like, I didn't notice anything like that. It was just they all seemed kind of like the same.
Right. I guess most people won't know the difference either. But I mean, some of the pattern, if you look at on the different turtles from the first two movies and the third one, the patterns on their spots and stuff are different. Yeah. And just the animatronics aren't as smooth. Yeah. It's very choppy. And from what I heard, this is what I heard. But the All Effects people, what I'm trying to say is, I guess I don't want to say they lifted Jim Henson's
Oh,
technique, so they kind of
Uh-huh.
underbid him for the third movie. So which was
oh
kind
wow.
of
They kind of
Yeah.
like reverse engineer it or something.
right. I guess I don't know how they did it, but they
Yeah.
were able to get the bid for the third movie.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Wow.
Maybe
Yeah.
Henson him and the company saw that maybe the script wasn't as strong as the first two, and that's why they pulled out.
Well, I mean, that could have had something to do with it as well. But from what I heard, they bid for it as well. Just that I guess the other company underbid them,
Yeah.
and so they were able to get the job.
Yeah.
But which was too bad. I think, maybe it wasn't as strong as the first two, but I think with the Jim Henson animatronics, I mean, that was just one out of things that probably dragged it down as well, is what I'm saying. I
Cool.
think
Cool.
it just wasn't. It should have been a Jim Henson. I thought, but what do I know? I just work on the thing. That's all.
I have one last question, and then
Yes.
Stefan, you can close us out if you want. But if you have another question, of course, Stefan. But so like, I think probably the main thing in martial arts movies world these days is John Wick, as far as I can tell. What is your opinion on the state of martial arts cinema in general now? I know it's kind of a broad question, but do you think it's changed for the good, for the bad, or I mean, are you getting what you want out of martial arts movies, or I don't know? Like, what do you think about all this?
Well, I mean, I think Black Panther just came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys see that movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't see it. Was there
Oh, it's
martial
good.
arts in that?
It's not. It's more. That was one of the bigger gripes with the film. Not to spoil anything, but the fight scenes are a little CG heavy.
Okay.
So there's a couple other scenes where they're not in the costumes exactly, where they have some cool choreography and some fighting, which is really good because it seems like they did at least go to reference like an African style of fighting, African martial arts.
Oh yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to see it. I got made this week. I've got to go
It's
see
good.
that.
Yeah.
But I haven't, but from what I've seen, I really don't know what the state is. I mean, I guess it's good for the people that are out there now. But what I'm saying is that I'd like to see, and I've always wanted to make a movie like Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
That's that. I gotta go back to that because I mean, Bruce Lee didn't need to CGI and all that. He was that embodiment of a dragon or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
He had everything. You didn't need to have any special effects with him or anything like that. So what I'm saying is that there's things that I've written that I hope that I'm gonna make that I that, and one of them is something along those lines of an Enter the Dragon movie.
That'd be amazing.
I would love to get that out on the screen. So we'll see. I mean, I'm pushing for that now. I mean, through the years, I haven't, I've been, you have to live life. And at the time I have a family and stuff. So I not only did movies, I did, I worked as a fitness instructor for many years, and I've been going to school for film. So I've been doing some writing myself, and I have some stories to tell, and I hope that I can tell them.
That's exciting.
Nice, man.
Yeah. And when I do get them together, I'll let you guys know. Maybe we can do an interview.
That would be fucking awesome, man.
All right.
Stefan, you got any last question here?
I just also saw that you worked on John Carter in some capacity. It says uncredited on your IMDb. Was that a fun experience at all? I really like that movie. I think I'm one of the few people who likes that movie. But
I liked it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry it didn't get as much credit as I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I just, what I think it is. It might have been the title.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say.
And that was it. Because the way when I first heard that movie, I think it was called John Carter from Mars or something.
Yeah, John Carter on Mars.
Of Mars, right? Why didn't they keep that? I don't know why. But
I know. Yeah, the books are called the what is it called? A Princess of Mars was the first book that it's based on. And so I heard an argument that like no girl is gonna want to go see a movie that has Mars in the title, and no boy is gonna want to go see a movie that has princess in the title. I think that's kind of bullshit, but
it sounds.
It is.
But there was from day one. I think there was a serious issue with the titling, and I think Andrew Stanton, who directed it, who also directed Wall-E, before that.
Oh, okay.
I think he was
Yeah,
pushing
Andrew Stanton, I think. Stanton? or
Yeah,
something?
Stanton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and he was pushing for that John Carter of Mars title, but it seems like Disney wanted to. I don't know.
Oh man, they should have listened to him. I think
Yeah.
because that's what I think. That probably what did it in, which is too bad because I thought it was fun. But you really don't want to hear this story, do you? All right, I'm gonna tell it to you. No, I'm just joking. But here's the thing. All right, so remember I mentioned Mark Ginther.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mark Ginther, he was Razar, the actor on the second movie, but
Cool.
he was the stunt coordinator for pickup shots at for this movie, John Carter. So he called me up asked me if I wanted. He's doing some pickup shots for the movie. So I don't know if he worked on the whole movie, but I just did the pickup shots.
Okay.
So anyway, I go down to, I think it's Marina Vista or Mar Vista, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Down by LAX. Anyway,
Yeah.
that there, I think Howard Hughes used to house his Spruce Goose.
Oh wow.
And so yes, this huge building. But once I walk in, like the Walt Disney people converted that whole thing into a green screen room.
Oh wow.
Okay, so it's huge, and they made it into a green screen room. So here's the reason why. So what we had to do was, there were two armies, huge armies. There was the Red Army, I think it was, and the Blue Army. They were Roman fighting armies, right? And so they would say action, and these two armies came in and they converged and they were fighting. I guess the director, Andrew Stanton, said cut. And he goes, I need something else when we start this scene. What do we need? I think what we need is a body. When you say action, to drop right in front of the camera. So my friend Mark Ginther, he looks around and he goes, Nick, come here. And then he goes, Nick, when they say action, I want you just to drop right in front of that camera. So and then that's all I did all day. So basically, I worked on it one day.
Yeah.
And if you blink, I'm that dead guy in front of the camera lens. Probably you're saying, I can't see, move it, get him out of the way.
Wow.
But that's all I did on that movie. But it was fun because I'll tell you why. Because once we shot a couple of takes, as we were walking off the set, right off the set, you had all these computer guys on the outside there, just as you get off the set, and they were already rendering that whole movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's how fast that was happening.
Yeah.
I mean, they were getting that done just like that. It was crazy.
Yeah. They were like all animation guys, basically. Andrew Stanton from
they must have
Pixar.
been.
Yeah. Or I guess Pixar animated a lot of that.
Is that what? Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all I know is that they were. I could see, just what we shot, and they were also doing all this stuff. It was.
Yeah, that's crazy. Awesome. Glad I asked that. That's awesome insight into that movie.
Yeah.
Unsung classic, folks. Watch John Carter. Just
I saw it. It's quite good. Yeah.
like Star Wars, but not,
Yes, please watch it.
Yeah.
I just got my residual from that one, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Hell yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I think that's going to do it. Thanks for coming on, dude. This has been awesome.
Really.
You bet it. And thank you for having me, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll check back with you when I got my stuff coming too.
For sure. You.
All right. Take care of yourselves.
Take care.
You as well.
Bye. Bye, Andrew. Bye, Stefan.
Bye. All right, and that does it for episode 114. That was Nick Palma. We hope you really enjoyed all the behind-the-scenes tidbits he was able to drop on your ass. I know we did. I'm glad to know somebody else likes John Carter like we do. As well as like to thank Shasta for her contributions to our Patreon. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Anybody out there who wants to donate to our Patreon, please don't be shy. Please feel free to drop in there anything that you may have to give. Too bad we can't receive buttons because those can be valuable sometimes too. But if you got Bitcoin, that'll work. Yeah, that's going to do it for us. You got anything else, Andrew?
Well, that's it for me, man.
Awesome. Hell yeah. This is Stefan and Andrew, and I'm signing off.
Signing off. See ya.
This is Stefan from the SuperHousePodcast. Be sure to check us out on Patreon, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and any other godforsaken social media outlet that we should be floating on.
We are basically on all social media.
Yeah, all social media.
Mainly Facebook and Twitter and Patreon.
Check out the links in the description.
We have a lot of cool goals set up on our Patreon. Like if you donate $1, you'll be able to give us a topic for us to talk about. And we'll
That's
talk
dope.
about for maybe an hour or more. Who knows how long it'll take.
And that's pretty tight.
That's the coolest thing.
Wait, we're on the internet?
That's pretty good. If you
And we can make money.
What?
If you donate $1,000, you get full frontal nudes.
We haven't set that up, but it's a possibility. You give us $1,000, who knows what'll happen.
Check us out.
I'll do that. I'll do that.
You get to go on a date with one of us for $10,000.
But you pay for everything.
You get to have your way with Maddie for $20,000.
For $1 million, I'll give you Joey for a weekend.
For $30,000, we'll help you hide a body. Check out our Patreon.
Superhouse Gigolo Project.
Links in the description.